I'm Tim Caputo, owner and head coach of CrossFit One Life in Glen Cove on Long Island. So I'm 32. I grew up in the area. I've been an athlete my whole life. You know, the normal, maybe CrossFit story. I have two twins. I'm married, and for me, this is my full-time job. It's how I feed my family, and it's also my hobby. Since working with the Active Life, we've doubled our personal training revenue over the last year. So I think it's a huge opportunity for gyms, and I think a lot of times current clients don't even know that personal training is an option, or clients that come into the gym. We get it all the time where they think that CrossFit is just group classes or throwing down, whereas you can work one-on-one with a coach for your specific needs, and you're still doing CrossFit. I've been working with the Active Life for over 2 years now. I started as an athlete and private client, and then over the last 12 months we've been working in their coaches program. We currently use the Active Life GPP programming for our group class and CrossFit class gym, as well as administering the bulletproof programs and corrective action programs with our private clients for their needs and getting them out of pain. Since working with the Active Life, we've doubled our personal training revenue over the last year. To date, we've doubled our revenue in 2018 as opposed to 2017, with 2.5 months left. So I'm 32. I grew up in the area. I've been an athlete my whole life. You know, the normal, maybe CrossFit story. I have two twins. I'm married, and for me, this is my full-time job. It's how I feed my family, and it's also my hobby. So it's a lot of different things for me. I do CrossFit as my exercise program, so I practice what I preach. I use the Active Life methodologies in my training every single day, and it's what I do for stress relief. It's what I do for fun. So I have one boy, one girl, twins. They were born in January of this year. They're 9 months old now. Casey and Sienna. Casey's the boy, Sienna's the girl, and they're great.
How many hours do you have to put in here?
A lot of hours, but it's, you know, it's so it's hard as a business owner, you know, that finding that work life balance, and you know, that's, I guess, something that we're probably all as owners trying to perfect each and every day, working enough to provide and being with the family enough to sustain a happy life, and that's probably something that I'll have to keep working on, but I'm doing a better job. So I think for me, the part of the biggest lesson that I learned is I can't do it all by myself, and also putting people that might be better at something in the position to succeed than myself. You know, making sure that they know that they have the opportunity to create a living or create a full-time job, and not micromanaging and giving them, you know, being a mentor, but also being there for them if they do need. I think what has helped us be more successful is not only charging our value and what we're worth, but also helping people fix their problems and not conveying what we perceive as valuable to them or what we perceive as expensive to a certain client or person, and it goes back to, you know, never judge a book by its cover. So, you know, we tell them what they need, this is how much it costs, and do you want it? You know, I think a lot of people focus too much on what they're willing to pay for something and not being in that person's shoes, or knowing how much money they have, or, you know, whatever it might be. We don't discount at all. That one of the secrets to to our success and improvement is that we don't discount at all. So there's no deals behind the scene. Everyone pays the same rate. For me as a business owner and a consumer in other areas, there's no tricky car salesman tactics or anything like that, and I think that that's sometimes refreshing for people who get caught up in the bait and hook switch or sales tactics. Everyone that comes into our gym, if they're in the group class, they're paying the same rate as the person to the left and right of them. If they're doing private coaching with us, they're paying the same rate as the person that might be working with a different coach. So I think a lot of times that helps me as a business owner, as a gym owner, but also as a consumer to be more comfortable with paying a premium rate. So I think most CrossFit gyms probably, maybe do 10% of their revenue or sales in personal training. So I think it's a huge opportunity for gyms, and I think a lot of times current clients don't even know that personal training is an option, or clients that come into the gym. We get it all the time where they think that CrossFit is just group classes or throwing down, whereas you can work one-on-one with a coach for your specific needs or your limitations, and you're still doing CrossFit. So I think it's a huge area for most gyms to improve upon. I think it goes back to not giving someone what you think that they can afford, but what they need. And I think in sales, but just in the fitness industry, it's having your own perceived value or your own number that you'd be willing to pay for something, and not projecting that onto the person, because it's really important to give them what they need to get what they actually want. And if you're not doing that, then you're part of the problem. And so once I got past that barrier recently, it started to just be a little bit easier and more organic in the conversation, as opposed to trying to actually just give them what they can afford and maybe make a sale. Not every client is going to be your perfect client or going to be a client, and you just have to be okay with that. So we've been open we're going to be 6 years in November, and we've seen consistent growth throughout all 6 years, which I think is good. But over the last year, since getting rid of discounting, since improving the value that we're giving customers and charging what we're worth, we've seen the biggest increase in growth and revenue as opposed to the previous year-to-year figures. We have an Equinox that's 10 minutes away. We're in an area where there's countless yoga studios, and there's Planet Fitness and Retro Fitness, and so there's probably 30 gyms in our area. And so if you're not delivering each and every day, or providing more value, or giving them the results that they need, they are going to go somewhere else. It's as simple as that. And I wouldn't blame them if they're not happy, if they're not getting results, if we're not doing a good job, if they're not having fun, then they should go somewhere else. I think the biggest challenges of being a CrossFit gym owner is most people who come into a CrossFit gym perceive the CrossFit Games as CrossFit, because Instagram is a highlight reel for athletes or the fittest or the best looking, and for me that's not truly what CrossFit is. That's just the 0.0001%, if that does the sport of CrossFit. So for me, that's the hardest part as a gym owner, is breaking down that barrier of, I have to be able to clean and jerk 225 pounds or snatch 200 pounds, or be lying on my back at the end of every single workout, and it's not sustainable, and it's really not the root of what CrossFit is and should be. I started doing CrossFit as just a way to get better at, I was boxing competitively at the time, and I was just looking at a better way to train. I think somewhere along the line, myself included, and I really do believe CrossFit in general and most gyms, they kind of lost their way and started getting a little bit too worried about what's cool or the actual competitive CrossFit. And so it was until I maybe had a few injuries myself that I didn't realize what we were doing wasn't the best thing for most people. And the more and more I worked with Sean and the Active Life, I knew that I liked the ideas and the type of training. And so I tried it a little bit on my own. And when I saw great benefits and got out of back pain and things like that and got back to doing the cool stuff like deadlifting, I started introducing it into my gym and for my clients. So every person that comes into my gym has to sit down with me one-on-one. And I get to know them, it breaks down the barrier, they get comfortable with me, I get comfortable with them, they see the gym, they meet some of my coaches, meet some of our clients, maybe even find a friend that they already know. And that is to make sure that we're the right place for them. And from there, we prescribe what they need based on the goals or the problems that they have. And I think when you talk to most people, hey, have you heard of CrossFit? That's the first question that I ask everybody. How did you hear about us? And have you heard or done CrossFit before? And if you have, what did you hear? I heard it's intense, or I saw that it's intense, or I heard that it's not that safe, or people get hurt doing it. And I think that, of course, if you can keep your clients healthy and happy and maybe even get them out of pain, in my mind, if you get somebody who's had pain for 20 years out of pain, they're going to be with you forever. You get them feeling better than they have in 20 years, they're going to be with you forever. And that's going to be a level of trust that's way greater than if you add 10 pounds onto their deadlift or have them snatching 185 pounds. And of course, from a business standpoint, getting people hurt doesn't help anyone. Doesn't help the gym, doesn't help them, doesn't help your reputation. If you get hurt doing CrossFit, people think that CrossFit is the problem and not maybe, you know what, maybe there's this gym and the way that they train and their beliefs are what actually got me hurt. And I think that's what I see the most of, and that's what we do the best of, trying to make sure that people don't make it to that second gym or people don't get hurt. Because if someone gets hurt in your gym and they think it was your fault, chances are they're not coming back. And at the same time, if you do get that second chance, or if the person changes gyms and they see that you do something different and your gym is truly different and you're not just talking out of your ass, they're gonna tell people about it. And then you're gonna get more business, more clients, happier clients. Well, so I think, if we were to break down the population, let's just say, what do the majority of people really want? That's what you have to think, and that's the way that I started to think. The majority of people just want to look better naked. It's plain and simple. And so if you're not going to be the ones to get them there, somebody else will. And what we try and tell people is that snatching 225 pounds may not actually be the best way to get you to that point. If you want to be a competitive CrossFitter, yes, but do you actually want to be competitive? Do you want to do this as a living? Do you want to train multiple hours a day? Most people, the answer is no. Okay, so then why do we need to do that? And you just need to make sure that they trust you, and that's I think a huge thing, is gaining people's trust. And then if they trust you, then they're gonna go with you in whichever direction that you tell them is best. And for us, over the last year, that's been with the performance care segments, incorporating them into the programming, and now moving into the overall active life programming on a pretty much everyday basis.
That's awesome. So talk about, do you think you're the average gym? Do you think you're describe the community that you're appealing to, and the market, what it is here? Is this New York City? Is this the middle of the who are the clients that you deal with day in and day out, and what are the kind of things that you've identified they need?
So I think our clientele, we're in the North Shore of Long Island, so we have a clientele that's a little more well off than other areas of, let's say the world or the United States. Our main clientele is probably going to be professionals that are looking for professional coaching and everything that comes with that. So, a coach that is being a professional and that looks like a coach and dressed in a clean gym, but also, not yelling at them or creating a, either boot camp style or military style of training or coaching and things like that. So I would say our clientele isn't the average clientele, and our gym isn't the average gym, where we're not probably going to be too worried about having the strongest weightlifter or the guy who can or lady who can snatch the most amount of weight, but we are and do believe that we're the best to get you the results that you need. Again, is to stay out of pain, be healthy, and look good naked. I think where I find the Active Life Coaches program to be the most beneficial for myself is now they're doing the group programming for our class on top of a little bit of myself. But what we're finding is that we're able to keep everybody safer, reduce the risk of injury, and build in the different programs that the Active Life provides.